Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first installment of Unrendered, and today we're joined by our first guest, Young Neil. So, Young Neil's a
Yo, what's
rapper.
up?
Yeah. Young Neil's a rapper. He has a project coming up, and today we'll just get to know more about him. First interview and whatnot. So, let's get started. So, what's the story behind the name Young Neil? Is that your real name?
So, Young Neil is not my real name, but so when I was trying to find a name for myself musically, um, I was looking quite a bit. I started with the name Deep Fried Bucket because I'd started as a joke. I think this would be something I'd be interested in, but around like 2023 or 2024, I started getting into the Scott Pilgrim comics, and I named myself Young Neil because, like the character, I kind of relate with him, in a personal way. Because me personally is kind of like Young Neil, so I was like, oh, that's like a great name to name myself because I relate to that character, and like a lot of rappers have Young in their name, so I did the same thing.
Yeah,
So
like Young
that's
Lean.
how that came to be.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. For a while, bro, I actually thought your name was Neil. I didn't even know because I've never like watched the Scott Pilgrim stuff or any of that. So, there's a bunch of different other scenes in the underground. There's the church movement, there's plug and B. There's so much different kinds of like subgenres. And I just want to know what you think about those other spots of the underground because you're an underground rapper and like, what do you think?
I'm not really tapped in as much as other people are into the underground right now. Like I know you are, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people trying to copy each other and a lot of people trying to just do safe things. So what I'm doing with Camp Nowhere, we're not like as safe. We take risks. We take a lot of risk, and we're trying to do our own thing, including me.
That's dope, bro. How and when did you become a rapper?
So I started in 2020 as a joke with my friends, like on BandLab, because that was just what we did.
Mhm.
And I wasn't the best, but I was doing it as a joke, so it didn't really matter at the time. And we eventually grew out of it, but I kept getting into more music over time, and I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this because it's something that I think I could be good at. So randomly one day, actually it was like at night, I asked Rodrigo on Zemnis server for a beat because he posted a Parappa beat and I like Parappa, so uh, I asked him if I could have it and he said sure. And I later that night I rapped over it, and that's how Parappa came to be. We actually first met at Zemnis server because
Isn't it called like second
around the
step?
time when I was trying to come back and reinvent myself musically, I joined his server for help and stuff. So that's how it came to be.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. What are some influences to your music?
So a lot of my music is influenced by Devon, Hendrix, JPEG Mafia, because recently I've been listening to him. A lot of inspiration came from that. I know a lot of people are also inspired by early Tyler beats and stuff. So I'm not gonna like doubt the fact that I'm kind of influenced by it. I don't try to make it like my whole persona when it comes to making music. So I'm not gonna doubt that because I feel like it's overplayed with the whole early Tyler the Creator esque
He's creative.
rapping and beats and stuff. But I'm still really searching. I take influences from everywhere. So I don't really like having I don't really have like a specific source. It just comes from a variety of things.
Mm, that's cool. And that kind of ties into my next question, which is like, what are some like would JPEG Mafia be one of your like dream collaborations, or like what are your dream collaborations in general?
I'd like to work with I would like to work with Ty Dolla Sign. I think that he's like a hidden gem in the industry
Yeah.
because you always see him on like other people's albums, but no one talked about his like solo stuff, and I think that stuff is really underrated.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would like to work with him because he's an artist I respect, because I don't think people give him enough attention. I think he's probably the best example for that.
What's your favorite Ty Dolla $ign song, if I may ask?
My favorite Ty Dolla $ign song solo, I would have to say I've only listened to a featuring Ty Dolla $ign, that album, so far, because I'm still trying to get into his solo stuff. But I like Freak with Quavo, and I like Status.
Nice. So what was the process behind your EP Hi-Fi?
So the process began when I made Parappa. I wanted to make a project, but I didn't want to make an album because that would be too long, and that's usually a big thing to make like a debut album. So I was like, I'm gonna make an EP, give a few songs to show who I am, and it kind of evolved as time went on. A lot of what you see on Hi-Fi was made in the last few weeks of like before the release date. Like last few weeks of recording, I made Come With Me, Team Rocket, and what's the other one I did? Super Soaker, I think. All the other ones, and Fred Durst, that one came from Rodrigo. But Golden Boy and Osaka were the oldest songs on it.
Like, when did you start working on it? Was it like 2024?
Yeah, I'd say so, because that's when I started recording and such.
What was your favorite song on Hi-Fi?
Lyrically, I would say Osaka, but like the song that I think is the most popular and deserving of it would definitely be Golden Boy, because I made a visualizer for that, which you can check on my YouTube. That song was one that I had in my mind for a while. Originally I was gonna have everyone in Camp Nowhere do the chorus, but some people at Camp Nowhere are a little slow. And I'm talking about Rico, especially, but yeah, that was the original plan. But I still did the chorus, and I had Saints on it, and it was a very popular song. I got a lot of people telling me like, "Oh, that song is awesome, man," and all that shit.
Yeah, it's my favorite song in the project, personally. So
thank you.
On the topic of projects, could you tell us, if you want to, I know you like probably wouldn't want to leak info, but like, what could you tell us a little bit about your upcoming project?
So my next project is going to be a big one, because after the positive reception on the EP, I wanted to expand on it and expand on the sound. One thing that changed over time was the people I've met. I've met a lot of great people that also work with some other people in Camp Nowhere, and I want to collaborate with them on my own album. I think that would be cool. So that's definitely the thought process with the collaborators. And if we're talking collaborators, we got Kate and Noel, we got Espiegel. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I have problems saying it, but it's like, yeah, he capitalizes the SP, so I say Espiegel. But he's on the album. There's gonna be a crazy posse track on it. You got all that shit, and it's a little more serious in a few songs, but got more producers. It's gonna be crazy.
That's dope, bro. If you want to share, like, is there any estimate of when we could get this project? Like, just a time range, not a specific date.
I would say, like, around spring of next year. I haven't really like done that much. I've done a couple songs, but the goal is to make it 18 tracks long, because Hi-Fi was 7. And they're a little longer, the songs, so it's gonna be like a fulfilling conceptual record.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make it. I don't want to make like a 25 song album like Donda, for example. Like, I don't want to make it bloated.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's concise, but I also don't want to have unnecessary stuff on it.
Yeah. That's fair.
Um,
So this kind of ties into the question I like asked before about like your favorite song on hi-fi, but like, what would you say is your favorite verse you've ever written, in your opinion? Alright, so
Circa.
this kind of ties into the question I said before about like your favorite song on hi-fi, but what would you consider to be your favorite verse you've ever written?
I would say my favorite verse I ever wrote. I would say that would be my verse on Without You on Jaguar's EP mixtape, Bad Decisions. I wrote that in a car ride. It took me like 30 minutes, I'd say. And I don't know how I do the features on other people's tracks. Like, I feel like when I do features for people, I'm much more focused than when I do my solo stuff because I get distracted a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the pressure of writing something fast is what helps me to make something good.
Yeah. What would your set list be if you ever did a show?
Well, I don't have that many songs at the moment. I might say some titles. I would definitely have Golden Boy in there, like as one of the starts. Maybe like right after the intro, I'll do Golden Boy just to kind of like start it up. I know that I would have Osaka as the final song. I don't think I would have any other tracks on hi-fi on my set list though. You know, I feel like, you know, even like a month later, I improved like every day. I feel like every time I rap, I improve. And I kind of think that hi-fi was like the starting point and the example that I set for later on in my career.
That's dope. How did you join Camp Nowhere?
So I kind of spoke on this earlier. So I went in Zemnis server and I met Rodrigo from there. And after Parappa, he sent me a text. He's like, "Yo, want to be in this group I'm in, this group I'm making?" And I was like, "Sure." So I was technically like the second member.
Mm. What's one thing you want people to know about you?
I want people to know that when I make music, it's coming from the heart, because I know a lot of people just be making music for money and fame and stuff. Like, there's a lot of people you see that aren't putting effort and just copying everyone else. You know, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, I try hard to make myself kind of. I try hard to differentiate myself. I wanna be different, and I wanna have my own spot.
Yeah.
And you know, like sometimes I'm kind of like envious on what other people could do because I've seen a lot of impressive stuff, but you know, that's what keeps me going. That keeps me going as an artist, you know, to learn from others and to improve myself.
Have you told people you know IRL about your music, and if you have, how do they feel about it?
Yeah, and yeah, no one hates my music. I'd say that everyone's favorable to my music. Although I will say that sometimes it gets a little crazy. Like, it gets a little out of control of like people calling me Young Neil and stuff, but it's all right.
This is like,
Because I mean, there's worse things in the world. Like, I know that I make good music. I know that a lot of people like it, and I'm very appreciative of that.
and this is like the final question to wrap things up. What's some of your favorite TV shows or movies?
Favorite TV shows? I would say, favorite TV show, End of Evangelion, Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Sopranos, regular show, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. What else? Adventure Time, Billy and Mandy. What else? Shit. Gravity Falls. That show's good. Uh, what else? What else? What like in terms of shows? I would say those are the ones that I could think about first. Like that I think about first. But I like Invader Zim. Invader Zim's fire. And with movies, I would say my favorite movie of all time is End of Evangelion, because that movie was crazy. Like that movie changed my way of thinking. And I know like a lot of people tell me like, it's crazy. Like how can that movie out of all movies change your thinking? But it really did.
That's dope. So that wraps up the interview today. You know, this is our first guest. This is his first interview, you know, young Neil. And yeah, just you have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Watch out for my album coming soon. It's called I Found Solace in the Stars.
Alright, you heard it from the man himself.
Stuff that's been kind of exploding.
Yo,
This is the interview.
oh, this the interview?
Yeah, you can just mute.
Go on mute, bitch.
Saint, shut your bitch ass up, man. You a bitch.
I'll cut
No,
this
fuck
out.
your family. Fuck your nephews.
All right,
fuck you.
mute. So,
Wait, what were you saying? Sorry. So
Shut up, Bruce.